Emirates NBD is a company that started, of course, is a bank that started more than 50 years ago. It started as two different banks, or even you can say it was even more than two different banks. A lot of mergers came down to two biggest banks in the Middle East, merging together, which was Emirates Bank International and the Emirates NBD, or National Bank of Dubai. So these two banks came together and became the biggest bank in the Middle East. The bank has more than 110 branches in UAE. We have another subsidiary, we call it the Emirates Islamic Bank. The Emirates Islamic Bank is another 50 to 60 branches. We have just acquired a bank in Egypt. It's an additional 60 branches worldwide. We have presence in more than 16 locations around the world between representation offices and branches. It started around the first quarter of 2014. Of course, we had another service provider, which was Ariba, and the contract was coming to an end. We needed an additional service provider who would give us probably more flexibility, more functionalities into the strategic sourcing, and at the same time we were looking at a more economical solution. The relationship, of course, is I come back from an Emirates airline background. Emirates Airline has implemented. I was part of the implementation. I was part of the development. I was part of knowing the product of Zycus. Then moving to Emirates Bank, being the head of procurement, one of the roles is strategic sourcing. I asked the head of strategic sourcing and the head of P2P to go and meet with Zycus, which they had a seminar running coincidentally at the same time. I encouraged them to go and look at them to see where we can do better to bring some services to Emirates NBD. That's where it started. We wanted to start with a smaller suite, so we went with the sourcing module and the contractual module, which then at a later stage we even delayed further the contractual module. There were some snag lists, so to speak, to be covered. And I think they have covered it completely. It was like 50 points that they put, from enhancements to the sourcing, to the contract, to the management of the whole process. They have covered all of our requirements, being the first banking industry in the region, or in UAE specifically, to work with Zycus. So that was an advantage on our side, that they have helped us to go forward with our requirements and the enhancements that, of course, we came from a perspective that these enhancements are not just Emirates NBD specific, it's industry specific. So that's where we added value, and of course they have added value in our requirements as well. They were flexible with us. They saw our strategy. They understood the relationship. They have seen the potential of growth. They have seen us as a potential customer to be probably the flagship of going forward. At the same time, the ease of use for the end users, the speed of implementation. Under a month, or say a month and a half, the entire product was ready to be used. Training was in play. Even sometimes the users or the sourcing managers, they went and used Zycus without even much training. It was self-taught. They felt that it's an easy product that they can deal with. Immediately they can get oriented to the product and go forward. I always say it again, I repeat myself, it's flexibility and orientation, as the CEO himself said it, that they learn from the customers. The impact would be that I can worry less about the processes that I'm running, about the RFPs that I'm running. The volume that we're handling in Emirates NBD is huge. I want a tool to be able to use that, to take all the headache, all the processes, all the routine out of the context. Standardize on processes. When I'm doing repeat orders, or I'm doing repeat contracts, I have templates that I can rely on, which they are providing, and it's allowing me to store it in my system, to leave me concentrate, or leave the category managers strategize on what matters than the routine of the business. That is one of the impacts. The other impact is the ease of use. I can, the same process for the RFX, for the RFQs, as processes, I can even roll it out to the businesses, because under a certain value, it does not hit strategic, it becomes tactical. For that tactical procurement, it can go to the businesses for them to use Zycus, which will probably be the next stage, to float it. And the ease of use and the user friendliness of the product allows me to give it to everybody in the organization.